Hi everyone, how are you guys? You guys are live here on the Redesign with Prima Facebook group, and my name is Brandy Collinborn. I am with Brushed by Brandy. I am a member of the Redesign with Prima home decor team, and I'm here because I'm working on a project that I kind of wanted to share with you guys. Come on and let me know. You guys can see me. Let me know where you're watching from too. I see 2 people on. Yay! Okay, sorry. I'm always worried about the technology part. I'm gonna fix my phone because it looks like it's gonna pop out. Yep, it was. It was gonna pop out of my tripod. Okay, sorry about that. So, hey Sheila, yeah, this is a surprise. I was gonna come on yesterday and then I ended up trading my time with Brooke, so I'm here with you guys today. I'm working on a project, these nightstands that are behind me, and they're super cute. You can see me, cool. These nightstands right here are what I'm working on, and they have this design on the front. This is part of the original design on these pieces. It's kind of a Harlequin pattern. And so I've laid a base on them of Dixie Belle Antebellum Blue. That's all I've done so far, is I've got some Dixie Belle Antebellum Blue. And then I put a clear coat over that. Thank you, Stacy. I miss you too. I hope you're doing good. But what I'm working on tonight is we're going to get it to this final look, which is this over here. So let me turn my camera a little bit so you can see this. Okay, so all of this was done with Gilding Waxes, and it looks pretty fancy, but it actually doesn't take me that long. So I'm going to show you guys how I'm getting this look here, which is kind of I'm shading in with some Gilding Waxes. And it's really amplifying that Harlequin pattern. So I've got some gold in here and then a little bit of silver, and then I added some silver hardware because these originally came with no hardware on them, which I thought was weird. So we are going to paint and shade with some Gilding Waxes. So the ones that I'm using tonight, I've got 3 waxes out, and the ones I'm using are some of my favorites. Number 1 is going to be Shiny Star. This is the Redesign with Prima home decor waxes. I love these. This is Shiny Star, which is their silver. It's a rich, creamy silver. And that's going on these little squares here. The little squares, the little buttons that you see there. And that ties in with my hardware. And then I'm using Eternal, which is their vintage gold. I love this, and it just came back in stock. A lot of the Redesign retailers have it. It does kind of look like waffles, huh? I thought about making it using different colored waxes and making it kind of a like a mermaid tail, but I thought this was more universal. So I'm using Eternal, which is their gold, and then I'm using the Art Alchemy vintage gold. The reason I'm using 2 different golds is because the Redesign waxes are a little more potent, and these are a little thinner, so I can kind of smear them out and blend with them. But when I work with the 2 together, I get a really nice smudgy effect. So who has ever played with like oil pastels? I compare using Gilding Waxes to playing with oil pastels. They really blend really well, kind of like an oil pastel does. Yeah, those are like nubbins. We'll call them the nubbins. They're going to be silver. So I'm going to move you guys in, and I'm going to lower my camera down because you don't need to see my beautiful face anymore. You just want to see what I'm working on. Really, let's get to the truth, guys. I know. And then I'm going to tip this up just a little bit and just lean it on this piece behind me, just so I can work on the front, because that's the part I want to focus on. So I have 2 artist brushes out, and these are just natural bristle artist brushes just from a craft store. And I like the natural bristles because with waxes, these are a little more firm. And I'm going to use a smaller version and a larger version. So we're going to start with this larger version here. And I'm going to start with the Art Alchemy wax in vintage gold. I'm just going to tip my brush very little. I mean, I'm just dabbing it on there. I'm not digging it in. This goes a long way. I have waxes that I still am using from when I first started painting. And then I'm going to take and start smearing. Let me find a spot you guys can see pretty good. And I'm going to start smearing it around the edges of these. And this could be any color. So I was thinking this would be pretty if it was like a green metallic or even some of the blue metallics. And I'm using kind of a swirling to pull it into the center of that diamond. And then my next one. Wait one sec. My eyebrows look great. I don't get my eyebrows done. I do them at home myself. So no, I did not break quarantine. Thank you for trying to bust me though. No, I did not. So I'm using kind of a circular motion to kind of make this wax a little bit smudgy and pull it out into the center of these diamonds. And then I'm going to dip my brush again. Do you put anything on after the golden wax? So what I intend to do with these, so this is my finished look over here. This one's all done. What I intend to do is let this dry. It dries permanent in 24 hours, and then I'm going to clear coat this. I also am thinking about, in fact, maybe let me get your opinion on something. Hang on, let me finish this one, and then I'm going to get your opinion on something else. So I'm pulling this out into the center a little bit. I'm just kind of smearing it out with my artist brush. Okay, I'm thinking about taking this Somewhere in France transfer. So this is the Somewhere in France transfer. It's a gold, and it's got French addresses on it. Like literally the addresses of somewhere in France. Hey Royce. Hey Llewellyn, how are you guys? You quarantining okay? After buying over, I'm watching your videos, man. You're finally starting, Tina. Congratulations. That's exciting when you're doing your first piece. I'm telling you, it'll be worth it. I have ridiculous amounts of supplies. I don't think people realize how much supplies go into doing this. But if you're going to do more than one piece, it's worth investing in. So this is the Somewhere in France transfer. And I'm thinking I'm going to take 2 of these and put them on the top of these nightstands. What do you guys think? So they would go one on this top and then one on this top. What do you guys think? And it would tie in with the gold. Otherwise, they're just plain painted tops. So that's what I'm thinking. What do you think? Add the transfer or leave them just plain painted tops? What would you want? So I went through and I did this to all these little diamonds. I'm going to do a few more. But like I said, this could be... These waxes come in green and blue and hot pink and purple, and the Art Alchemy waxes do. Come in a whole bunch of different colors. Jennifer, you think add the transfer? I kind of think I want to add it too. So you could do something like this around any kind of moldings you have to kind of emphasize them. But a lot of times I'm not painting with paint, I'm painting with waxes. These are great for shading. Here I'm using it to add a little bit of depth and dimension. Okay, so I did these, 5 here? Let me do a couple more. And this is the Art Alchemy wax in Vintage Gold. It's a similar color to the Eternal, but it's a little bit thinner in consistency. So I find I can work it out. See how I'm kind of thinning it as it goes into the center? Make them all French step and sexy. You think they're sexy? Solak has nothing on me. He has a mustache. I do not have a mustache. Not yet anyway. That may come. That may be yet to come. I don't know. That was a good one, Tina. You guys make me laugh when I'm sitting at home in my quarantine. I've had these sitting around for a while because I played with a couple different ideas. I played with doing, like I said, the more colorful option. And I'm going back to probably a more vanilla version, but I think this has more universal appeal. And I like universal appeal. As much as I like to have fun sometimes, I gotta sell the stuff too. Hi, Kathleen. Yeah, except the stash. I do not have the stash, I swear. Although I know, you get into that stage of life, that's the mystery hair growth stage of life. So I don't want to totally rule it out as a possibility. Okay, so I've done these here, and I kind of, just using that circular motion, just smeared them out. I can even use my finger and rub it along the edges if I want to make that even more of a soft transition into the blue. Because these rub really nicely. It's like working with oil pastels. Oil pastels have kind of an oil base and they get really smudgy and smeary on paper. In fact, Prima even makes oil pastels that you can use on furniture. So I like that right there. I know these are cool. I really liked the design. As soon as I saw them go up for sale, I had to have them. Now I'm going to take my Eternal and my thinner brush. Okay, do you guys remember when you started coloring, like in coloring books, and your older sibling started outlining their coloring and you were like, whoa. Like, I had an older brother, so I'm like, he's so talented, and all he was doing was outlining. I'm kind of outlining. So that one I just did, it's this one right here, I'm outlining. And I'm going to smudge this out a little bit too. Or maybe it's like creating like a smoky eye effect with your makeup. I can't do that either. I end up looking like I got into a bar fight. So I'm outlining my, with the more potent wax, which is the Redesign wax. What color was the first one? The first one was Vintage Gold in the Art Alchemy waxes. So these, a lot of the Prima retailers also carry the Art Alchemy waxes. They're a little bit smaller tin. They're also distributed by Prima. And I put a link above in the post, and they have the Art Alchemy waxes on that website too, if you're looking for them. And they come in tons of colors. I've showed you guys before. You guys want to go look in my wax drawer, and I'll show you all the different colors it comes in. They come in hot pink and purple and green and blue, 20 shades of blue, and white and black and silver. And so I'm just working with one shade tonight, but this would be a fun look to do in colors too. And I like the Antebellum Blue from Dixie Belle is my backdrop, and I love it against the gold. So gold and silver are complementary. You can use gold and silver together on the same piece. You don't have to choose one or the other. Okay, so now I've kind of gone through and outlined those, and now I'm going to go back to my larger brush. You watch my YouTube with the wigs. We were having fun. What else are you going to do when you're stuck in quarantine? And now I'm going to kind of blend that line of gold into the smudgy part that I put around. So those kind of blend together. And then it's really potent around this outline and a little softer as it goes to the inside. Now these waxes dry permanent in 24 hours. So I don't have to top coat these. I am going to top coat these, but I don't have to. And they actually hold really well. And I know that because I've gone through and tried to, after I've done this, and tried to distress this wax. And I can scrub at it with steel wool, and this stuff stays. This stuff has stain power. You can use this on hardware. In fact, you'll notice on my finished piece here, I added some outlining, some detailing, and I'm going to do that on this piece here. So that's how I got the smudgy effect around those diamonds there, was using those two colors of gold. And then I came in with my shiny star, which is the silver. Thank you, Tracy. That was really sweet. And I just used my finger. And I use my middle finger. And I get a nice heavy amount on here. And I'm just going to get these squares that are right in the center. Just using my finger. Okay, I'm going to stop myself really quick and do something. So you guys, I don't know if you can see, but on some of these, I got some gold up on here. So I'm going to show you what you can do when you get heavy-handed and it gets a little into places you don't want. These waxes are removable. Two things. I can either use mineral spirits. So I can dip into their oil base. Mineral spirits removes anything oil based. So I'm going to pour a little bit of mineral spirits onto a rag. Tip you guys back down. And then I can just take my rag with the mineral spirits on it and it will wipe right off. So that is one option, is I can use mineral spirits to remove it if I get heavy-handed. Because I do want to keep these, the little cross hatches, to be in my blue. Another option is you can take another oil-based product. I'm going to take Big Mama's Butter. So I can take this, it's an oil, it's a furniture oil, and I can take this is by Dixie Belle, and put a little bit onto my rag. This is a cream, whereas mineral spirits is a liquid. And then, because this is oil-based, it will wipe back that oil-based wax too. So either one of those, if you've got an oil-based, like Big Mama's Butter, an oil-based wax, oil removes oil. So then I can just clean those off. I'm going to come back and take that back off again. And now those look super clean. And now I can come back and I'll finish up with this silver where I want it. Just using my finger. So these waxes are really good for creating dimension, a shading effect, by combining the different types of waxes. The thinner wax with the thicker wax, I can get a shading effect. This piece on the side of me, it's a beast, huh? I just pulled that out of my storage. I actually think I have to put it back in my storage because I ended up taking a whole bunch of orders this week, and those take priority over me playing around. So I think I have to put that one away and come back to it later. But I do know on that one, I want to paint it vintage duck egg. That's as far as I've gotten. It feels very French and romantic to me. So I want to do some vintage duck egg with some shading and make these swags in some gold. It is a cool piece. It's a beast, but I can't play right now. I've got too much orders, which I'm not complaining about at all. I feel very fortunate. Okay, so that's kind of the look I'm going for right there. I'm going to do that to this whole piece. It really didn't take me that long. I want to say I did that other one in maybe like 40 minutes. Put all that on. So let me show you. I'm also going to use my Eternal Decor Wax. This is the more potent one. I'm going to use my finger, and I'm going to outline some of the details on this piece here. So I'm going to come up here. Is this on camera? Okay. And there's a molding up here that wraps this piece. And I'm going to kind of just hit it with some gold, like a pinstripe up at the top. Yeah, silver and gold go great together. You do not have to choose one or the other. So for example, this piece, if somebody had silver hardware in their room on another dresser, this will tie in with the silver. It will also tie in with the gold in their room if they had gold hardware on something. So it doesn't have to be an either or. In fact, my bedroom in my own house, I have champagne colored bedding and I have silver art on the wall. It's very soft and romantic. And in my master bath, we have kind of champagne colored mirrors with a wallpaper that's gold and gray. So there's silver and gold all over in there. Yeah, Cheryl, I mean, we're stuck inside, so you might as well watch me work while you guys, I hope you're hanging out relaxing. And then I'm going to get this little, this is the same molding down here, only at the bottom. And I'm just hitting it with my finger. I'm trying not to get it on the areas around, like down here or up here. But if I did, I can use that same trick with either the mineral spirits or the Big Mama's Butter, an oil-based product, and I can come back and wipe that right back off. So one thing I like to do, you guys, when I want to play with waxes, and I'm not sure, and I wasn't sure on this one, I did play around a little bit, is when I want to play around, I will put a base coat of paint on, and then I seal my paint. Seal my paint. And then my paint is preserved. And then I can come back and I can put stuff on top of it, and if I don't like it, I can wipe it right back off. I got a little heavy right there, and I have to wipe that off. So if you seal your paint, you've got a good paint base on there, you want to preserve it, and then that allows you to play. If I wanted to play with a glaze on here, I could put a glaze on here. Nope, I don't like it. Take it back off because my paint is sealed. It's not going to mess up my paint. So once I've got my paint good and I like where it is, I will seal it. And that preserves it against anything that I choose to do to my furniture piece. So same thing, I'm also kind of adding a little pinstripe to the feet here, just on this. And I'm just going to use my finger. Thanks, Jan. Jan Brown, you guys, or yeah, Jan, you carry the Redesign waxes and the Art Alchemy waxes. Go ahead and you can throw your link up in here if you want. Because that's what I'm using here tonight. And then I'm going to pop this down. And I'm going to come and add that same gold detail right along this rim. So same thing, just with my finger. I just use a really steady hand. I don't tape anything off. I'm just going to ride this little edge right here. Okay, I just painted this, but I think it might be dry enough we could put that transfer on the top. The only thing you got to be careful of is once you got the wax all over your finger and you're working with it, is just be careful you're not touching all over your piece. Okay. So you guys, Jan just posted her link in here too. Jan also carries the Art Alchemy waxes and the Redesign Decor waxes, and she ships. She's always got a nice, healthy stock. And right now, when we're all stuck at home on quarantine, support the small businesses, you guys, that can't go in and open their shops up right now. And then Dixie Belle is still shipping, and so is Prima is still shipping out to their retailers. So all of this stuff is still available for you guys. What did I say I would seal it with? I'm going to spray these, and I like to spray gator hide. I like to spray Dixie Belle gator hide, and the reason is it sprays beautifully. Gator hide is a little bit thinner than, say, their satin clear coat. If I'm brushing or wiping a clear coat on, I like to use the satin. If I'm spraying, I like to use gator hide. Okay, so I'm going to pop up with my camera onto the top, and we'll put that transfer up on the top because I do think I want to do that. So let me pop this up, and we'll come up here and work on the top. Oh, Lynn, you just ordered from Jan. Awesome. Okay, so I'm thinking I want to use this one here. I love this one. This is probably my favorite. I don't know. No, I can't decide. Yeah, I think I want to use this one. And it's a great size for the tops of these nightstands. So I'll do one in matte, and then I'm thinking I'll do the other one in, I don't know, the more feminine. This one, this guy here. So we have kind of a masculine and a feminine. My base on this, Susan, is Dixie Belle Antebellum Blue. It's this rich teal color. Okay, spraying gator hide. When I spray gator hide, it depends on your sprayer. It depends on your sprayer. I've got different sprayers, and it depends on which one I'm using, whether I need to dilute it or not. If I do, I dilute gator hide minimally. Dixie Belle gator hide, I dilute it minimally. I would say 10% or less. So I'm going to go ahead and place this. I want to center it on my top. That looks centered right about there. And then I'm just going to kind of press it down onto the top. Whoa, that didn't work very good. Now I got to center it again. I'm going to stand up because I want to make sure when I'm looking down on this, it's not sideways. I've done that before, gotten stripped sideways, and it stinks. Script is really obvious when it's not straight. Okay. And then I will press down on it. And that kind of sticks those letters. That's my commitment. I'm sticking it in place. Now, it's a little cold in California today, so I hope this does okay. And then I've just got my wooden tool that comes with the transfer. And I'm going to start rubbing this on. And it is transferring, and I can see that. Let's see if I can hold this. It's the best view that I can. I can see that because little edges of my lettering is starting to turn white. Can you guys see how these turned white versus these guys over here that haven't transferred yet? So I can tell that these have started to transfer. So I'm going to watch for that as I'm going. Now it's cold and my paint is fairly fresh. So those are two things. When you're doing a transfer, your paint needs to be dry, dry, dry. Dry as a bone. If there's any moisture, that transfer is not going to take. Moisture in the paint will resist the transfer. So I think I'm okay because I can see this is transferring, but that made me kind of nervous. I love Somewhere in France too, Jaren. It's one of my favorites. It's one of my favorites. It's very universal, I think. You can use it on a lot of things. And I like that this top now will tie in with the gold that I've got in the front. So then when I'm doing a transfer, I will sometimes pull it back just to see how it's going. So now that I can see that these letters have turned white, this is a great example because they've turned nice and white versus these that are still really rich gold. They're not attached yet. And then I can pull this back. And I always pull it back slowly, and I can see that all those letters have transferred onto my paint. And it looks great. So I'm going to keep going on this. I'm just working one small area at a time. You don't want to rush the transfer process. Putting a transfer on, it's not like just putting a giant sticker on your furniture piece. There is care and time that goes into making sure that it's done right and perfectly. Hi, Juana, how are you? So I can tell that this whole bottom part, and if I start peeling it up and I notice that something's peeling back with my clear sheet, I will go ahead and just rework that spot right there. But can you guys see that? How beautifully that's transferred? This gold lettering will be now on the top of these gold and blue nightstands. Now this number 8 right here isn't all the way down, so I'm going to work that spot again. There we go, that got it. Beautiful. This is going on really well. I'm really, really pleased. Start up here on some of this larger part. And I kind of put my finger on the tip of this stick and I'm putting pressure down on it. I do have a lot of pressure going on this stick. So that next line has turned all white, so that's gone, and now I'm up here where I just have this larger section. Have you ever had a transfer after putting it on and burnishing it down good and then you put gator hide and it bubbles up? Yes. So here's the key to that. Gator hide can cause bubbling in your transfers if it's able to get in underneath. So and even with burnishing it, if there's air pockets or anything and you didn't catch one, liquid, think of liquid. If you get a water leak in your house, a plumbing leak, water is going to find every single little hole that it can. Gator hide is a liquid. It's going to find any little weakness that it can. So if you're ever unsure and you want to use gator hide over a transfer and you're not certain that you've got, you've burnished it good and tight, sealed it all up, put a coat of satin clear. Put a coat of satin, or even flat if you prefer. Put another clear coat on top of it. And then you can come back and put your gator hide over that. That's the best solution. That's the safest way to do it. So that you don't have to question whether you've got that transfer down good enough. I would just use the combination of the two clear coats. Did that make sense? How much is gilding wax? Jan, are you still on? Can you help me with that? What did the Redesign decor waxes retail for? I think they're in the $12 range, I want to say. Don't quote me on that. It's been a while. They last forever, you guys. They last forever. I don't replace them very often. I can see Jan's still on. I don't replace my gilding waxes. I don't have to. I have ones that I still am using, the first container from 2 or 3 years ago. So it's been a while since I've bought some gilding waxes. With gilding wax, what I always tell people is they're a good investment. And because they last so long, when you sell a piece, buy yourself a new gilding wax. Reinvest into your business a small percentage of your earnings, so that you can have a collection. And I use them so often that I'm so glad that I have them. Thank you, Jan. Okay, now I'm gonna start pulling this back. All my transfer is turned white. All of it, where it looks like it's all attached. But I'm pulling this back slowly. And if I start pulling back any piece of a letter, I'm just gonna put it back down and work that letter. It's number 6 right here. The little tip of it didn't get down. That looks good. And keep going slowly with it. The more intricate transfers, the ones that have a lot of lettering or little edges, those ones can take a little bit more time versus the ones that are a big solid piece. So good. This is the magic. I made a huge mistake putting a transfer on after I used gilding wax. Yeah, so I still find that transfers go on best over raw paint. I really prefer to put a transfer on over raw paint, and I've played with it either way. A lot of it has to do with personal preference, and I still prefer it over raw paint. So this is raw unsealed paint. So once my transfer's on, I'm going to go over all this with my fingers, and I'm just going to make sure all the little edges are down. And I take time doing this step. This is an important step, because if I go right to burnishing and I've got a little edge that hasn't gotten down and I didn't notice it, I can pull off a whole letter with the burnishing process. And I will press from inside, and I will work the letter to the outside. You can feel a lot of things with your fingers that you can't always feel when you're using a tool. So I think fingers are best for this because I can feel the little edges of the transfer. Okay. I like that part. Like here, I've got a little tail on this guy. Now I rub this transfer on, but this little tail right here isn't all the way down. And if I would rub this with a little piece of sanding sponge or something, it would pull this right back up. But I can use my finger and just press it down. And I'm doing that around all these little letters. If anything, I will take time doing this. Because then I want to burnish this transfer, which means I'm going to come rub over the top of it to help diminish some of the halo that's around my letters. And I don't want to pull pieces of it off when I do that. I'm not rubbing it, I'm just pressing. That number 6 that I struggled with, that had a little edge that was still lifted. Okay. Feel like that's pretty good. Let me get a finishing pad. So this is the Dixie Belle finishing pad, and I cut these up into bits. So this is a 1/4 of one. Yeah, Jan is the best. Jan's awesome. Yay, I love hearing all this, you guys. Jan, you are the star of the show right now. Okay, and then I'm going to take this finishing pad. Oh, you guys got to see this because this is like magic, I think. I'm going to hold my camera and try to show you guys. Can you see the halo on my transfer? Let's find a good spot where you can see a halo. It's very hard to get it on camera. I feel like these bigger letters, it shows up better. I've got a little clear halo around my transfer. So once I'm sure that this is stuck down, because I don't want to pull this up, but I can take this finishing pad and just rub, and it takes away that halo, you guys. It's like magic. So this is what I mean, where this process, this transfer process, it's not just put it on, slap a clear coat on it, and it's done. This process takes me time, and that gets the best results. And I'll flip this around. So I'm working all the different sides of my sponge. Okay, and it takes off all the little halo around the edges. It's magic. Once I'm done with this burnishing process, I can go and clear coat this. I don't have to wait to put the clear coat over the top of the transfer. So like I said, I do want to spray this with gator hide. Now that it's got a transfer on it, I will probably use satin clear on the top, and then I will put this out to be sprayed. How hard am I pressing? Pretty hard. I'm working this pretty aggressively. I mean, that's why it's so important to be sure that your transfer is adhered. That's why I go over it all with your finger. Because otherwise when I'm rubbing it this aggressively, now another thing is when you're burnishing a transfer like this, it needs the bite of the raw paint. If I had clear coat on this, I've done the burnishing and it starts pulling the transfer up because it doesn't have anything to bite onto underneath it. Whereas just the raw paint, I can work this transfer and it's adhered. It's a permanent part of this furniture piece now. This also works out any air bubbles that you might have. So on some of the larger transfers that come in big sheets, this will work out any air bubbles that you have in your transfer. So I see little pieces right here. My letters are kind of lifted up. I'm a little more nervous about these smaller letters going as aggressively as I was on the bigger letters. So I'm just going to be a little more careful going over those. This gets rid of that halo all the way around the transfer. So I'm just going to go gently over these. Using more of a patting motion than a rubbing, because that rubbing, if I catch an edge, and there's a lot of edges on this fine lettering, if I catch an edge, I'm going to pull the letter off. I don't want to do that. I just want to get that halo around the edge, get out any air bubbles, make sure they're pressed down all the way. This letter C doesn't want to stick. A little comma right there. Okay, so I'm being more gentle on these fine letters. And then I'm going to wipe away the surface because it starts getting the little sticky bits of the edges that I pull off. The halo comes off. Yes, my background color is Antebellum Blue. Thank you, Jane. This is Antebellum Blue. Let me tip this up a little bit. This is Antebellum Blue. And this is the Somewhere in France transfer on it. But isn't that pretty? It is metallic, so can you see how the gold is catching the light? It's a beautiful transfer. So that's it for the top, you guys. That's what I'm going to do. Let me pop you guys back down to the front for anyone who just came on, and I'll show you what we worked on the front of these. We did the transfer on the top, but we also did the fronts. So on the fronts, we did this technique down at the bottom, and it ends up looking like this guy over here. So I framed out all this Harlequin pattern with my gilding waxes. Just using 2 types of gilding wax and my artist brushes. So that's my nightstands, you guys. That's what I'm working on. I'm going to finish these guys up. Thank you guys for having me. Thank you, Jen, for being so helpful with questions and stuff. Again, I put my link at the top in the post if you can't find anything you're looking for. All the Redesign products are still available there. But you guys have a great weekend. Enjoy your Saturday. Oh, thank you. Thank you, guys. All right. Mwah. Thank you.